A wild boar. This is how the Pope in 1520 described Martin Luther. Luther was a German monk who questioned the Church's practice of selling forgiveness. Hi, I'm Rick Steeves, and today we're travel partners. The goal of our trip, to get to know Martin Luther and to see how one monk sparked the Reformation, which created the Protestant movement and eventually the Lutheran Church. During Luther's time, Germany, which is about the size of Montana, was a confusing collection of over 300 little feudal states. We'll travel from Eisleben, where Luther was born, to the university town of Wittenberg, where he taught and preached. After a pilgrimage south to the Vatican in Rome, we'll follow the tumultuous events of the Reformation at Worms, Erfurt, Eisenach, Marburg, and Augsburg. When Martin Luther was born, nearly all of Western Europe looked to Rome as the head of the Church. When Luther died in 1546, Europe was divided between Roman Christians and protesting or Protestant Christians. Luther was born in medieval Europe, but grew up in a time of great change. Imagine life in the Middle Ages. 90% of the people were poor, illiterate peasants, pawns ruled by kings, nobles, and bishops. Most children died before adulthood. 30 years was a long life. Plague was a constant fear. People worked the land hoping only to survive the winter. Life for most was a dreary preparation for heaven. The Christian Church gave people hope for a better life after death. But by Luther's time, the medieval church, administered from distant Rome, was losing touch with people's needs. The Bible and church services were in Latin, a dead language spoken only by Europe's elite. Corrupt popes and bishops, living in luxury while others struggled, were tarnishing the church's reputation. And worst of all, the church hierarchy had become entangled with politics. Popes waged war. Bishops were princes. In much of Europe, there was no real separation of church and state. Sins were crimes, and tithes were collected like taxes. Bishops were treated like royalty. When one entered the room, you knelt and kissed his ring. Throughout Western Europe, the only acceptable way to be Christian was as part of the Roman Catholic Church, and that church had begun paying its bills by selling forgiveness. In one turbulent generation, the Reformation changed all of that, and Martin Luther, known as the father of Protestantism, is counted right up there with Gutenberg and Newton as one of the most influential people of the past millennium.